Hi, welcome to Sound Education 101, where music makes learning come alive. I'm Paul, and in this video I'll be demonstrating the mindful story method, a structured daily approach to literacy that uses this guided writing tool to engage every student in your classroom, including your most reluctant writers. To start your first lesson using the mindful story method, you need to have the students sitting quietly at their desks with their heads down and their eyes closed, or as I do, have the students lie quietly on the mat with their eyes closed. It's my advice that you create your first class novel written in the present tense, because the present tense places the students inside the story as they tell it. They're not recounting something that happened, they are living it as it unfolds, and that creates immediacy. And that sense of being in the story is exactly the immersive state you are trying to create. I'd also suggest for your first narrative that you use the "As I stare down at the ground beneath my feet, I see" story starter, because it is a nice and easy one to get started. You could also start with something like, "As my eyes scan the scene around me, I see." Once you have chosen a story starter, start playing through a few music genres of your choice. As you play each music track, ask the students to raise their hand if they have a vision they could share with us. Let's say you're playing the music track 4B, Moonlight Beach, and your story starter is "As I stare down at the ground beneath my feet, I see." There's a good chance you'll get a response something like "sand." They might even be a little bit more creative and describe it as "golden sand." If they do happen to use an adjective, praise them for the use of the adjective and pose the question to the class, can anyone add another adjective to give us even more detail? Always look for every opportunity to speak about the parts of speech. There is a highlight grammar button that colour codes the parts of speech within the narrative to give ongoing examples for students to refer to. Once a beginning is established, you'll need to continue asking leading questions, such as, "So where is the golden sand?" When you get an answer like, "On a deserted island," read the start of the story back to them. "As I stare down at the ground beneath my feet, I see the hot golden sand of the deserted island." Here you can continue posing leading questions such as, "How long have I been on this island?" or "How did I come to be on this island?" You can continue modelling leading questions yourself for as long as you feel you need to lead. As the story grows, ask the students to come up with leading questions of their own. The story will also need some direction from time to time. Have several students offer up ideas for the next part of the story. You might get something like, "We find a cave with a map in it." Respond with, "I really like where this is going, so how are we going to write this into our narrative using as much description as possible?" Read back the last part of the narrative and ask, "Now what are we going to do from here that ends up with us discovering the cave?" Throughout the evolution of the narrative, you'll have many opportunities to pose easy questions and many opportunities to pose more complex questions. The beauty of that is that all students will have plenty of opportunities to have an input, no matter their level of confidence or ability. Everybody will get to be part of something great. So moving forward, you'll want to develop the classroom routine of students entering quietly and assuming their positions with their eyes closed. This transition does something important. It moves students physiologically from the energy of the playground to a focused, imaginative state. Behavioural issues drop, anxiety barriers come down, and reluctant writers, the ones who normally shut off before the lesson even begins, are suddenly in a receptive, creative headspace. This phase takes around 5 minutes and it changes everything that follows. The sooner you can establish this routine, the better. Be sure to record a reference number for whichever music piece you use for each part of the story. Do this by entering the number in brackets within the story. That way, when you read the story back, you can apply the music as you go for greater effect and inspiration. What I do, and what I strongly advise you to consider as well, is I publish the latest section of each narrative on the back page of the school newsletter each week. At the end of the term, all of the back pages come together to form the narrative. You can run the sessions for as long or as short as you like. You can keep them to 15 or 20 minutes and then run your usual literacy unit, or you could try some of my other lesson plans to fill out the block. The greatest effect that happens while the class narrative is growing and inspiring the students is that each student has been building their own ideas of where the story should have gone or should be going, and they think that what's been created is great, but they also believe that the story they've been building in their own minds is even better. That's when you make time for them to write down their own narrative and just watch the difference in their approach. If you do take on this method, and I am eternally grateful to all of you who do, I implore you to make sure you have a current sample of each student's writing so as you can compare the difference the mindful story method makes. I'm sure you'll be as pleasantly surprised as I was. The Guided Creative Writing Tool and full lesson plan package covering Kinder to Year 8 is available through the link below. Thank you for being here, and thank you for listening. All the best.